Okay, I think we're ready to roll. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Women's Network Australia's special webinar today. I'm very pleased that you could join us. We're joined today by Sigrid de Kaste, book writing, publishing and marketing specialist, and I'm very pleased to say one of our Women's Network Australia ambassadors. And Sigrid aims to empower women embarking on their writing journey, and today we're going to hopefully share some practical tips. Sigrid herself is the owner and director of Sticky Beak Marketing. She's also an international #1 best-selling author. She's a business and marketing consultant and coach. And she's once upon a time, and I'm not sure if she keeps it up, but she did train as a photographer. So both the visual and the words, Sigrid has you covered. I'm very excited to hear what Sigrid has to share with us today in terms of the opportunities that can be brought forth through book writing in business, and how to help build your profile, establish you as a thought leader, and also to market your business. So it's my great pleasure today to hand over to Sigrid, and she's going to share some slides. There will be some opportunity for questions. I know there's a few who can't make it live today, Sigrid, but we're looking forward to sharing the slides with them and the recording later on. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for the introduction. It's wonderful to be here. And let me just go straight into popping the slides on here so that we are going to keep the time that we have set for ourselves. Your book, your voice, the topic for me, I just absolutely love getting women and getting their voices out there into the world by using a book. And today is going to be about the first few steps for you to know where to start, and also the opportunities that lie ahead for you as an author. I'm going to share some ideas around how a book can play an important part, helping you to really elevate the authority, because the word author says it already, author, authority. And to this day, authority as an author comes automatically by being the author, by having a book to your name. And this comes from way, way back, the times where the first scribes put the first words and sentences on the tablets, where the scribe was an educated person. Therefore, they had authority. They were able to put language and ideas into writing. And since then, down the ages, it has followed us and still has the same meaning today. Your book really can help explore what sets your own perspectives apart. Your experiences can be shared in a book. And of course, bringing that to the reader in a way that they feel they are aligning with who you are is a wonderful way for women in business. And the key with writing is to determine what is the purpose and the objectives that you want to achieve with your book. And that's the key first question for every author, in my opinion and in my experience. Whether you want to inspire, educate, entertain, when you're setting yourself at the outcome before you get started, what your objective and your purpose is, you are faring much better writing your book and getting your voice out there. Now, a tiny little bit more about myself. Thank you, Cheryl, for that lovely introduction. I just want to set the scene here where I'm coming from. So I went into business, not like many women do, by starting their own business, but I bought businesses. My journey into business was to buy and sell businesses originally. Diamond jewelry, I had no clue about that industry when I bought into it. As Cheryl mentioned, my background is photography and marketing with that. So since the days of scissors and glue for cut and paste, I have been in and around the marketing, photography and marketing scenario. My first business was excellent learning curve for me, and I built it with marketing Really enjoyed my time there and sold it for 2.5 times I bought it for. Repeated that scenario with an office supplies business because that was just an opportunity, really low entry business. And I was able to get 3 times back for that one. Again, using that marketing knowledge. Marketing is something that is really key to everything for you in business. Now, from those experiences, I came to hear about writing a book, to using that to step into another direction or into a direction you already have expertise in. And for me, that was with my first book around how I was dealing with my staff in these previous businesses. And I'll tell you a bit more about that as we go through, because I'm using my books as some examples to share how you can use your book to share your voice with the world. Now, I want to use 2 examples today. The first one is Karen Blixen with her Out of Africa. It is a long-standing book, so it has been around a long time, and it was created a long time ago. So for some of the younger women in business, I'm not sure whether they are that familiar, possibly not with the author's name at all, but perhaps definitely with the genre, with what she wrote about Out of Africa, because it was turned into a movie. How exciting. What I want to share here with you about Karen and getting her voice out into the world is the times she lived in. It was difficult for women in general to be seen and be heard. And even though she comes from an aristocracy, from an aristocratic background, she was still not as well received generally in the world as men were at the time. And when she wrote her book from personal experience living in Africa, sharing the details of what life was like there, the animals. I mean, in the days when she wrote this, the early 1900s, it was just in 1910 or something like that, it was just so different. People weren't traveling like we do today to anywhere in the world, and it was mysterious and very special to read about her experiences of people, animals, and just the life in Africa. Now, despite that, and despite her wonderful experiences that she had and was able to share, when she started with her book to be published, the early days, she went from Denmark, her native country, all the way to the UK, where the publishers of the day were those that meant something, those that were the publishers in the game. And nobody wanted to pick her up. Nobody wanted to publish her. Most of all because she was a female writer. She even changed her name to a pseudonym, Isaac Dinesen. You can see it on this book here. And I think she used a couple of other pseudonyms as well to get published, but to no avail. The publishers knew that it was a woman behind the scenes. And for whatever reason in those days, that just wasn't easy for women to do. And she self-published that book, Out of Africa. That is how she got it out there. That is how the success came for her, self-publishing. It has got so much opportunity for you in the world to get your book, to get your voice out there. Once the success came and the success was evident everywhere, the publishers came knocking on Karen's door and said, hey, we would like to publish your book, because they could see people were interested. And of course, they knew they could make money with it. But I want to put a caveat in here right at the beginning. The notion to make a lot of money purely by book sales is a bit of a mystery and not quite the way it appears to be. You're making a lot more money with the book, not the book sales. And I'll tell you more about that in a little while. I have chosen as a second example for today, Betty Mahmoudi. And quite likely, again, this book came out some time ago. So for the younger members, it may not be that well known. However, I think most of all, the name of the author, Betty Mahmoudi, may not be known at all. But the title, Not Without My Daughter, may be more well known, because this book also was turned into a movie. We can see it here with Sally Field in it as the lead role there. Now, the story of this book, of course, is Betty's voice into the world. If you don't know, she was married, an American married to an Iranian. They had a daughter, and the husband wanted to go back to his home country, wanted to take the little girl with him, said it would only be on a holiday, but she wouldn't let him. She said, no, I'm coming with you. And then she got stuck there, and the husband and the whole family would not let the daughter go with her back to the US. And so ensues a huge journey of hardship of getting secretly with her daughter out of that country. And it describes a lot of the details of these differences between societies. So interestingly, for Betty, the publishers that picked this up, they put another author with her to get her into this. And I suspect at the time, the AI wasn't as advanced as we have it today, so they needed somebody to do some of the writing, or perhaps interview style, asking her to get the story out of her. This is just guessing. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it is fairly understandable that in those days, if you really were not into writing and it wasn't really something suitable you wanted to learn or to do, having another author, an experienced author with you. That was the way the publishers did it in those days. So the voice, Betty's voice got out there. She's got a story told, Not Without My Daughter. Something really interesting and exciting, a story of clashing two different types of backgrounds, different cultures, all of those interesting parts there. And again, it was picked up and turned into the movie. So the question is, sometimes women say to me, well, yes, I have a story to tell. I want to get my voice out there, but it's not quite as big as this. Well, you don't really know how big it is. And even if it is not going to be a movie, it is worthwhile telling your story and sharing your message with the world in the form of a book. You can certainly raise your voice, elevate your authority, and become recognized to expand your brand, whatever that is, on a global scale. Making more money is often misunderstood by women writing a book. They see book sales as the main return on their effort of writing and getting their voice and their story out there. But it is not the book sales on their own that really make the difference. And I can let you in on a secret that publishers are not only or necessarily making their money on the book sales either, even though they usually get the larger share when you are with a publisher, with a publishing house. No, the money is in what the book can do for you, when you can go out there and speak, get onto the speaking circuit. So big publishing houses will put you on a paid speaking circuit. So that is where the money comes in: speaking, interviews, media, and follow on or follow up type of products, or perhaps other offers that they might make. That is really where the money is with a book. The authority and celebrity status, yes, I'm sure that is fairly straightforward to understand. Once you have a book and it's a topic that people are interested in, it's a solution to a problem they have, everybody wants a slice of you. Let me interview you. Come onto my talk show, do the podcast with me, and tell us more about what you are about, who you are. But getting more clients is also a fantastic opportunity with your book. This does not mean you have to put links to some sort of sign-up programs on every page of your book. Not at all. Sometimes the men that I have spoken to who want to write a book or have written a book think that that is the only way to get more clients, by putting go here or click this link or, type this link into your browser to get to some sign up so that they get you onto their list. And that is then how they nurture you and get you to become a client. No, that is not the only way. I will tell you the story how I got more clients with my very first book very shortly. That was not due to links, clicking links or going to particular links or putting the reader onto a list and then nurturing them until they were ready to buy. You can do that quite differently. And I want to throw in here, very importantly, to get your voice out there with your book, just like your business, getting your expertise, your services, or your products out into the world. It is always marketing at the foundation of it. How are you going to market it? The same with any of these 3 opportunities to take with your book. How are you going to market it? How are you going to market you? How are you going to let your book market you? That's really a big key. And one of the biggest mistakes a lot of authors, a lot of women make is spending a lot of time and resources on the writing, the editing, and the publishing path or phases of the writing journey. And they're not aiming for results. The results are somewhat airy in the background. Oh, my book will sell. It will just happen. There's no clear plan or direction, end in mind, goal in mind to achieve with their book. They often have a more mystical, mysterious idea that it will just all come together. And this is due, I think, to the many movies out there about authors and how wonderful it is. You just write a book, it becomes a bestseller, and the whole world wants to buy it, and you're just making lots of money, and it all happens organically. Well, not quite so. I speak from experience and from a long time in business. Just like your business, you do need to take the lead and direct what you want to have happen. The top 3 reasons that I get people tell me when they come to me for a chat about their book, the top 3 reasons why they want to write, number 1 is always to help more people. And you may already make that connection here to what exactly does that mean? What does this look like practically? Where is the outcome here? Like I just said, there is often no clear idea what is to be achieved. Sure, you want to help more people with your book, with the knowledge you have, the expertise, the experience, and get this voice and that message out there with your book to help more people. But what is that going to look like? And how are you going to measure that? How can you put that in place? That's a big component of wanting to write a book, and putting in place a clear reason, because with a clear reason, you can create a path to achieve that reason, that goal, that outcome. To get more clients, I've already touched on that. There are different ways how you can do that with your book. Often, as I said before, it's the men, the male. Often they think it's lots of links in your book that people follow to get somewhere where they sign up onto your list. But that's not the only way, and that's not necessarily the best way. And when people come to me, for example, at the very start of their journey of writing, this is something that we really discuss in detail. What is this going to look like for you? What is the best way for your voice to get out there and bring clients back in to your business? Making more money, again, often the thought is, yes, I'll sell lots of books and it just happens. But you need to direct how making more money, what that looks like. And my very first approach with writing my first book, and I'll, as I said, come into that in a moment, it was exactly that, making more money, but not with the book sales. So let me keep you in suspense until I tell you the story, what that was like. 3 really big myths exist to this day around the whole writing journey, and they actually keep people stuck. A lot of women are stuck on these myths, on these ideas that they've heard about, that they think is something that is real, and it is not. The first myth is lots of people think it has to be a good book. And I encourage you to have a look at, in your mind's eye, what does good actually mean to you? And feel free to put it into the chat, and we'll have a look at the variety that is probably going to be coming up there. Everybody thinks good means something different. We all have different ideas around that. So you really cannot say it has to be a good book. What good is to one may not be good to another. Is it entertaining? Is it educating? Is it just simply something I want to know about? History, something about historical or something in that direction, information, what is it? What is good? Everybody has a bit of a different idea around that. So I so want to encourage women not to get stuck on this first big myth. A good book is the book that you write. Your experience, you as a person make it a good book because you have a good intention behind writing it in the first place. So I really encourage every woman who feels, thinks about, dreams that she would like to write a book one day, leave it not to one day, but write it now, because your book will be a good book. And you just need to work on getting it to people to say exactly that. Wow, your book is a good book. The second myth is writing takes a long time. Now I hear this over and over. And some people do take years to write. And some people have a book sitting, written in the top drawer of their desk, but they never take it any further because it did take them such a long time to write. They kind of just cherish the time it took them to write. Here is why writing a book for you as a woman in business, to share your voice, to share your message, your expertise, and your experiences in life and business, why that does not take a long time. Firstly, you are not expected and really don't want to write an encyclopedia like hundreds and hundreds or thousands of pages. People in the world today don't make the time to read. They want to see it in a movie instead. So no, it's not about a lot of content for your book. And it is also not about writing a little bit every day, which I have sometimes women tell me, oh, I'll write a little bit a day. My mentor from such and such told me to do that. And eventually I'll get somebody to edit it all together. No, you're not going to see the end. When's the end of having written what you need to write? Somebody the other day, I think, told me they had 15,000 words already and didn't really know whether it all fitted together. 120,000 words. How many pages does that make? Most women don't know that. You don't start that way. You don't need to just write and take forever. When you start your writing, or when you start that journey before you write with a clear plan what you want to write about, you can really work out almost exactly how long it will take you to write each chapter, and therefore how long it's going to take to write the entire book. Sure, my very first book, it took me 8 months. I even spent a lot of money at the time. I think it was $4,000 on a ghostwriter to put some extra content together for me because I thought I needed that. And then I just threw it all away because it wasn't what I wanted. In the end, it really was not what I wanted. I wrote it all again. And the whole process, I think it took me year and a half, 2 years nearly to have it finally out there, published in a way I wanted it. It really doesn't have to take that long. I've learned from that first experience. It's part of why I do what I do, to help others, especially women, to see that there is a much better way. Writing a book takes a long time. When it is fiction, when you have to make up the story, when you have to decide who are the characters going to be, or who are the characters, and you've got to keep track of which character interacts with who at what time, and what were they doing and what were they not doing. I mean, sure, I can imagine that that takes a long time, but not when you're writing about your expertise, your business experience, or something that you want to convey to the audience, to the reader, around your business. It does not take a long time when you start with a plan. And a plan is key. You would have used, and you will be using, if you are just starting in business, a plan. What is your business going to be about? Who are you going to serve? Where are you going to reach those people? All of those are components you can use to decide writing your book and bring down exactly the time frame as to what you're going to need, how long it's going to take you. And there is the third myth that I want to share with you today. So many women pop up in my inbox and pop up in social media messages and say, I've got this fantastic book and I spend a lot of time and money and it's launched, and launch day was fantastic. But what do I do now? They thought the book would sell itself once it's published, whether they've used some hybrid publisher or they published it themselves. Either way, they were expecting the book to just fly off the shelves. No, ladies, sorry. We still need to market our book, just like we need to market ourselves every single day in the business world. And this is best decided how to do before you start writing. Because how to get your book to the reader that you want to reach needs to be decided upon when you start, before you start writing, so you can write on a topic and with a book title to reach that readership. Otherwise, you're having them completely too far apart. If your book title says one thing and the people you want to reach don't know that terminology or don't know what your book is about, they're not going to be interested. And they're certainly not going to be able to just sell it with so many opportunities and places to find and look for books in the market today. So it requires a plan before you start. And people do get stuck here. Even if they have finished and they are published, here they get stuck at the end after all the excitement they went through on the journey of writing, thinking, expecting the book will sell itself. No, it doesn't. It does require that plan, that path for you to take it on. So how do you get started? You really want to get started with that planning I've been talking about all through the presentation so far. Whether you write fiction or non-fiction, let me just make it clear. Fiction is a whole different area of writing, and it is much more difficult in the market to get your foot in and to get your readership and to make a return on your money put in. If you're just doing it as a hobby and you just think it's wonderful to do and write fiction, fantastic. Go ahead and do it. It's not something that I necessarily work with people with. I did have a client when I very first started a very long time ago. She was writing fiction, but it was raunchy type, sexual type, erotica books. And they sold really well at that time for her. They sold because at that time, that is what the market wanted. There was a large market there for her. But over 3 or 4 years, she did realize that the interest waned and less of her books sold. And she did a lot of marketing at that time in different ways to what we're doing it today. So fiction is one thing. We're in business, women in business, non-fiction. Any of what the bullet points are showing you there on the screen are great to consider to write about. Ideally, you want to take directing your own personal experience, a memoir-like or parts of that into your book. You want to give the reader a direction, what you have done and how they can do that too, or what you have done and how they can come to you and work with you, for example. Or if your message is something like the first two books we've shown you, well, with that type of personal story, you can certainly set yourself up to be out there on the speaking circuit and organize paid speaking opportunities. And there are many of those out there. So again, really want to make this point. It is about the planning before the writing that will really make a difference for you. So what is your expertise and what problem do you solve? Now, this might sound very plain, but this is ultimately what everything is about. Businesses offer expertise in something. Your expertise, you're offering others to solve a problem that they have, something they cannot do themselves, whatever that might be. So these are very directed questions to ask yourself before you get started with your book. Once you know that, you have that path there clear and you can map it out rather than being quite confused. A lot of times I have women come to me when they book in for an initial chat just to find out whether their idea is something that will work or whether it is something that they can work with me with. They will say, I have so many ideas for so many books. I don't know where to start. There can be a lot of confusion when you have a lot of experiences and you've done a lot of things. And look, I absolutely get that. I've done a lot of things at this stage in my life, so many things. But it is very important to work out which of the many things is the one you want to firstly get started with, and secondly is the one to put into the market now. What is it to write about right now? So, giving you a couple of examples from my own 3 books that I have at this stage to my name. The first one I ever wrote was 5 Practical Steps to Find and Keep Great People. This was derived out of my initial retail businesses that I've shared with you earlier I've had in the past. I always had fantastic people in my businesses. I had staff between 5 and 8 people in each business. So I was really well set up and I worked fantastic with them. I had a couple of things I did. We did staff meetings. I asked for input. A couple of really, to me, easy little things that to many business owners, I discovered when I wrote this book, to many business owners were just unknown. They had no idea. I knew that because I was in contact, of course, with other business owners when I had my retail business, especially the office supplies, supplying office equipment and office pens and pencil and all of that to other businesses. I knew, talking to those owners, they had a lot of trouble with stuff. And I thought, well, I don't want to do retail anymore. I want to do consulting, mentoring, something like that. And I went into the service industry. I wrote this book. And my idea was to get my foot into that consulting area. The book was to be my authority status tool, for a better word. Now, here is how I went about this. The outcome determines your marketing strategy and plan, as I put at the top there. I wanted directly to get business owners around me at that time where I knew they had about the sort of size staff team as I had, 5 to 8 people in their teams, and they couldn't handle it. I wrote the book, finally published it, got it in my hand, and I sent it out as a gift to those businesses around me that I wanted to work with. I sent it out as a gift, and I followed it up with a phone call or a visit to that business, talked about my book, and I got $25,000 worth of contracts in the very first week of doing that particular exercise. The people hadn't even read the book. They said, wow, you've written a book about that? You must know what you're talking about. Let's work together. I have trouble with my team. I have this happening. I have that not happening. So really simple, practical, and to me, very logic at the time. But I see a lot of people are not thinking that way. Women often feeling that things will just happen. Well, not always, and not necessarily without you are doing something towards it. So the outcome was to get clients with this particular book, to establish my authority as a consultant around working with people. It worked. Whatever it is you'd like to achieve with your book, set out to work out what is it the people you would like to work with, or the people you know you can help, what is it they want? And then roll that back to decide how to write and what to write your book about and how to go about getting it to those people. While I was working with these business owners, 5 to 8 staff in their business, I discovered they had expectations of their staff that were unrealistic because they weren't providing anything in way of marketing for that staff to do these marketing activities as well as the other work. So I wrote my second book, The Secret of Marketing a Business Like Yours, and targeted those businesses, but for their marketing, not for working around their staff, their team building and staff meetings and so on. The second book I took onto the global market. At the time, I was a member of the Business Network International, BNI. I was also a member already of Women's Network, Chamber of Commerce, so a lot of different organizations. And I offered myself as a speaker, speaking about exactly what I've written in this book here, and therefore sharing my voice, sharing it around the world. This picture here is in a huge BNI chapter, 62 people in that chapter in Hong Kong. It was a fantastic experience. I went to Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, Switzerland, all over the world, and it was just really exciting to share the message and bring businesses on board as clients for my business. So you can do it globally. You don't have to necessarily fly around the globe as I did in those days. We have the technology to do it like we're doing here online. You can do that anywhere, all over. Sure, if you can go there in person, if that is an option for you and you like doing that, you certainly can show yourself. And if your book is published on Amazon, you don't even have to carry a suitcase full of books with you, because you can order them to be at the destination where you're going to be speaking. Or you can simply let people know and they can order it in their own country, in their own currency. So simple. Again, the outcome, what you want to achieve with your book, determines how and what to write about, and your entire marketing strategy and planning around reaching the audience, the people that you want to share your message, your voice with. And the third one to this date that I have is build your business with a book. From the experiences and the talking with all these different business owners, of course, sharing with them, this is my book, and they said, oh, how did you write the book, and so on. I decided some time ago, now I think I'm not quite sure, it was 2014 already, or 2015, 16, something like that, that I moved further and further from the general marketing agency services I was offering into helping people in business write a book. And now I'm really moving towards mostly predominantly helping women write their book around that message, that voice that they want to share with the world. Build Your Business with a Book shares with you a variety of businesses that have used a book and how they've used a book to build their businesses. So it's a very practical approach. And that book I have used mostly here from my desk in my office to promote that and promote that idea, and therefore helped other people in business with authorship, getting their own ideas out there to use the book to sell whatever it is they are selling. Again, the outcome is important, what you want to achieve. I wanted to establish that I have the knowledge and that there's a variety of businesses that can use that idea of a book to build their business. It's very practically laid out in there. So this is what anyone can do, and whatever your idea might be right now, if you haven't started yet, or if you have started, hopefully this also triggers you to move forward, is to think about what you want to achieve. Whatever the topic is you might have in mind at the moment, possibly you may have to narrow it down. Possibly you may have to really focus on a particular readership. And sometimes that can be scary for people. They think, oh my gosh, if I make it too tight and only these people, I want only these people to read it. No, I want everybody to read it. There's a fear that they might be missing out. The contrary, the total opposite is actually the case. So think about who would benefit, who's asking for this particular knowledge or expertise you have, who is asking for the information, the message that you have to share. Who are these people? And then start mapping out what to write about and how to get it to those people. Because the sad fact is that too many people spend time and resources on writing, editing, publishing, and they don't aim for any results. It's sort of more like a nice to have, not a need to have, even though they want it to be a need to have. They want people to read their book, but they're not aiming to achieve that. We women have so many facets to ourselves. We are involved in life in so many areas. We get in touch with people of so many different ages. Our experiences, our knowledge is vast. We have so much to say. I understand that. But not bundle it all together in one book. Look at one very specific topic and title. Write lots of books. It is not that difficult once you get started. You have the opportunity to publish them and promote them. But don't bundle them, everything you want to, in one book. Separate it out and make it interesting, needing for those people who are asking for what you want to write about. So, writing your book really needs to be planned. Jumping there head first into it is not the best way, in my experience. And planning is really, really important when you want to make sure that people see and read your book, that your message gets out there, that your voice is being heard. I want to leave you with these top 3 things to consider specifically in choosing your book title. And the reason is that you want to have a target audience or a target reader, and so therefore it needs to be specific. Not everybody everywhere. Be specific. As I shared with you before, I was targeting business owners, 5 to 8 staff in my local area or not too far away from me. In those days, I was working by going to the business and consulting with them all around, putting their staff in place, setting up staff meetings, getting the staff to realize what their responsibilities are, but also what they can gain by being in that business. So be specific. And then find, is there a problem? Is there something that people will pay to have solved or fixed? And this is the same for your business, of course. You know this. it does apply for your book as well. So I'm putting it fairly bluntly here with problem solving and fixing. You can use other words for that if you wish. Let's say people do not know how to perhaps interact with other people. It is a problem for some people. So you might be able to help them, whatever your expertise is. Those people are going to be happy to have your help, to pay you for your help. Look at it that way, whatever it is. And that is what you want to write your book about. And the benefit or the outcome from reading the book and implementing what is in it, it really wants to be something tangible, measurable, and easy to understand. There are a lot of academic type books out there, and academic type people read them. They may or may not want to work with you. Practical in business are loads and loads of people all over the world that you can really help and support with your knowledge, with your expertise. So write about something and make it straightforward. Now this relates back to when we earlier talked about it has to be a good book. A good book is when the reader understands what you're talking about and they can implement it, or they can come to you and they understand that they can come to you, that it is really easy and straightforward to understand that they have some benefit from your message in the book, from what you have to share. Really direct and easy to understand. If we are looking back to the first two books that are introduced as examples of life experiences that were shared by Karen Blixen or by Betty Bermoudi, for example, what does that look like for those? Well, those women went out there and they changed a world at the time, a world of people, Karen Blixen, people who wanted to know, what is it like to live in another country? Can it be exotic? Is it exciting? Or is it scary? Is it something that I'll lose my money? Can I come back from it? What is it like? People wanted to know. It was exciting. It was something really important at the time. So she was sharing her voice in a way for people that wanted to know that at that time. The same with Betty Bermoudi. It was all about this clashing of different cultures. Can that be resolved? How can it be resolved? Her story was that way. If you're in such a situation, maybe you can resolve it differently just by reading that book. So your book can help, or her book can help you. Her book helped people. All of that is possible. Sometimes we just need to look at those things in a different light, from a different angle. So please do refrain from being cute and clever with your book title. That is often recommended by people who offer their mentoring or coaching service in book writing, because they say, oh, something cute, something, clever, people will stop and read and want to know more. That is actually not the case in our world today, not at all. People have no time. So make it for an audience who wants to know and use their language, use a title that they understand and want to know more about. Now, I want to share with you an opportunity. If you are at that stage of writing your book, or you have these ideas and you don't know how to go about it, I offer an online book writing mastermind. It is very easy to access. It goes for 2 hours. It is at 2 different time slots. You choose the one that is best for you, and you design or create a 2-minute pitch around that idea you have about your book. And in the mastermind, you pitch the group that is there, and I will give you feedback and others will give you feedback, and you know how that will be received for you. So it's a really great opportunity to get that first step on the way to writing your book. That is, I think, everything I wanted to share. I'm just going to go to check the next slide. Yep, no, that's it. Those are just the 3 pillars of the book writing journey as I offer it: planning, publishing, profiting, and they are interchanged. So let me just click the stop share and come back to the screen if I can.
You're back on, Sigrid. That was amazing. Yes, you're back on screen. Thank you so much. I know we have a couple of our attendees who might want to ask a question. If they do, I'll ask them to unmute themselves. And we do have a little bit of time for questions, but I just wanted to say how fantastic that was, Sigrid. We've got a real understanding, I think, of the importance of planning your book writing. And it's a great honour to have Sigrid as our Women's Network Australia ambassador for high impact, high profit book writing, publishing and marketing, which I think says it all, Sigrid, as to what it is that you do and what you teach.
Thank you. That's wonderful. It's really great. And we actually have ladies here who have been at the mastermind and have taken away some benefits from there. Lovely to see you both here, Chris and Adele, Dr. Adele.
Well, thank you. We might leave it there. Again, on behalf of Women's Network Australia, thank you, Sigrid de Kaste. You'll find her both at Sticky Beak Marketing, but you can also jump onto the Women's Network Australia website and have a look at the Our Team page. You'll see Sigrid listed amongst our team of ambassadors and some background about Sigrid that I'm sure you would have learnt more of today. We're going to wrap up there. I'm going to stop our recording.